Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of 51 Stories of Emotional Wellbeing with EAR. Today, I have with me Nidhi Sardana, a leading designer who has her own sense of style and brings in a sense of stylishness to everything that she touches with her hands. So, welcome to my show, Nidhi.
Hi, thank you. Thanks so much for Pragati for having me over. So gracious of you.
My pleasure. So, tell me a little bit about yourself, Nidhi. What is it that makes you the woman that you are today?
Well, okay, so let me introduce myself. Like you said that, well, my name is Nidhi Sardana and I'm a designer. I studied fashion from Central St. Martin's in London, and then I worked in an establishment called Swarovski, which most of us would know of, and they also have a garment embellishment unit where they would create ensembles for designers, etc., and get Swarovski into India. So this was going back like 20 years from now, and that's when I started working for them and so on. And I realized that I could sort of there's so much potential in this field. You know, the it's truly like limitless, where you can sort of create your creations. Mix, play with colors, and play with fabrics, and of course, lovely, beautiful rhinestones and so on. And that's what got me. I just love creating. I don't know any better. So that was my passion, and it got me to grow in this field further.
Fantastic, fantastic. So tell us a little bit about your childhood. And today, of course, you look so well put together and you bring in a sense of beauty into the lives of countless women, people who wear your creations, whether they are celebrities, whether they are regular women, they feel womanly and they feel good about themselves. So tell us a little bit about your childhood. Did you always feel like this, or there were some struggles that you had to deal with while growing up?
Right. So, okay, let me start with when I was about ten years old, I lost my father. And that was like quite a wake up call. But because before that, we were so sheltered, lived in a small town, a business home, everything was taken care of and stuff. And that's when but always my mom had an inclination for fashion. And that back in the day, she used to run like a little, if I may say, a boutique sort of a thing where she would do these little couture collections for her friends, do these coffees and call them over and all of that. So she had that passion for working because she herself also started fashion back in the day, but it was more like a hobby for her. But when my dad passed away, she took this whole plunge of moving to Delhi, and that's where I was literally raised. And then on, she sort of she had to pledge her jewelry, open an export house for us to sort of like she thought that she was now she basically she was the breadwinner for us then. And that's when she started sort of she had an export house, she brought us up and all of that, and I would be so closely attached to her. I'd be observing her and at every step of the way and so on. So that's where I realized that it's so important to be independent, and you just don't know when life could sort of throw anything at you. I mean, we just sort of live in our shells, also secured. But that's when it struck to me that one has to have whatever passion it might be. Somebody could be a writer, somebody could be a painter. With To me, fashion came inherently because, like I said, my mom was also a fashion designer. So it was I just didn't know any better. It just came to me naturally, and that was my instinct. And I used to, even in my I started going with her even during my holidays, and I was always involved in, the creating part of it, not really the managing part of it because I was too young. But I've created clothes since I was a little girl. So that's what, yeah. So that was quite a struggle. It was quite a shock from a business background going into something. Of course, my mom had a backup of her dad in Delhi, but she was a very self-respecting woman, and she just didn't. I mean, of course, my nani took us in, and she was extremely sort of indebted to them for that. But she didn't want to sort of come out as like a full-on burden who's like, now, okay, fine, look after my children and so on. So she wanted to do something for herself, and which she did. And she started with a small export house of about 100 machines, which of course, with the grace of God, grew and stuff like that. And that's actually what my brother inherited from, and not really my dad's wealth, because that really never came our way. My chachas and whatever, they just took it away, kind of a thing. So yeah, so that was quite a learning, and quite a sharp turn in our lives, which taught us a lot.
This is just amazing, how you speak about sometimes adversity shape us and, prepare us for something really big, something that we've not spoken about.
Absolutely. I think that happens too. I mean, one is fortunate, and like we feel for our children that they live in a world where they're completely sheltered, where we are protecting them. But yet at the same time, I also feel that sometimes adversity strikes, and sort of it just brings out the better person in you. And I think if you're true to yourself and you follow your heart, then even somewhere, even universe sort of blesses you. I feel like things, I mean, maybe back then when somebody saw us, like I'm going back in 89. So my dad passed away 89, 90, my mother moved to Delhi. And back then, I think we were the most grief-struck family, where my mom lost her husband, and another it was quite an unfortunate incident that she shifted to Delhi. And my grandfather was of course there, but my mother had a real support from her brother as well. But the year she shifted, even my mama, my mother's brother, got murdered. So so she lost the two most important men in her life, in a span of a year, and that completely shook her up. But she was so brave, and I always say that she's always going to be an inspiration for me. So every time, I don't think I'm even half the woman she was, because I've always seen her being so brave, and she was like this beautiful lady. And and of course, how it is like the parents want you to get settled. And she was all of 29 when she lost her husband, and at the age of 30 she lost her brother. So rightfully so, her parents wanted her to settle down, but she had two of us, me and my brother. And how she was so courageous, to sort of take upon life and not really look at a more cushy sort of a situation, because getting married was the easy way out. Instead, she sort of sort of battled, and established a unit of her own, and brought us up, and took life the hard way. And I think it's all her hard work that you see in both me and my brother. So I think that was quite inspirational, and she'd always be my hero, always.
Thank you. That was so courageous of you to talk about her journey. A lot of times, we gloss over the challenges that we go over in childhood because we feel a sense of shame. We feel if people know where I come from, they wouldn't accept us. But the beauty, which especially I've been seeing through this series, is the more vulnerable we are, the more we open up, the nicer it is with human beings, and the more people get inspired to go on. And sometimes we stop and we feel that it's not okay. But our best laid plans go awry. Like, for example, like we are talking right now, suddenly the light has gone off behind you. How does it matter? You and I are chatting. So the
Right.
whole point is continuing with whatever you are doing when you are ready to do it. See, because things
Right.
get streamlined, they get sorted out in their own time. Sometimes it's just a matter of minute, sometimes it takes years.
I
Uh,
think sometimes it's the perseverance, and and sometimes it's just if you believe in anything, I think one should just follow the instinct and do that, and just sort of give it your best. And I feel somewhere there's always universe who also blesses you, and and also sort of paves a path for you and stuff like that. A journey gets created. So I always feel that one shouldn't shy away from rather treat those follies or shortcomings as your strengths instead. You know what I mean? Like, one could be good at something, maybe not good at something else. But I really feel like one should just never just I'm sure each one of us have something in us. So we have to sort of just sort of dish it out, and then start polishing it, making it better, and just follow instinct. And I think when you follow instinct, you can never go wrong. I personally
so,
believe that. I
so,
think
so, so true, Nidhi, so true. So tell me something about your childhood. Was there anything that you felt that you had a sense of shame about, or some difficulty that was very difficult to you personally, per se, that happened to you?
So, okay, so what you see me now, I might be just about, I think I might be a 55 kgs or something like that. But back in the day when I was telling you when my mom shifted and stuff, I was like this really obese kid, right? So I think when I was in grade 6, which must be like about 11, 12 years old, I was about 108 kgs. So I was like this real fatty and stuff. And there was a moment in time in my life that my mother put me in this school called the Woodstock, because initially she just thought that maybe both her kids in boarding would make sense, and that way she'd have more time on hand where she could work and so on. So when she did that, so all of a sudden, like, in uniforms all kids look alike. Even if you're like a little bit body shamed and stuff, you still sort of look, in a uniform nobody looks so different from the other, they all look kind of similar. But I feel like when I went to Woodstock, I was I so suddenly there was no uniform, right? So I see these beautiful looking girls, because Woodstock being an American school, so I'd see these lovely girls wearing hot pants and shorts and all kinds of clothing. There was no uniform. And oh my god, that's when I was like, I was body shamed, I was fat shamed, and I was um called a fatty. And like, then again, that's what I feel like, and I used to feel very shy of my whole existence. So I did not settle down for first 2 months at all. I did not step out of I would just go to my class, come back, would not try to make friends. I was so miserable, I would cry every day, all of that. But then I think that the trait that I have in me is that I instead of cribbing over the surroundings I have, I try and sort of work on myself. Like, this has always been the case. So instead of like finding flaws as to, oh, this is going wrong in my life because blah blah blah, I start thinking, okay, fine, this is going on or wrong in my life, so how do I fix it? What do I do to, at least so that I can like, I believe in my Guruji a whole lot. So but not back then. Back then I was a little kid, but I used to but always that was my way to tackle a situation, that first let me better myself and then see what how things go. So one good that came out of this body shaming bit was that I started to reflect upon myself, and I thought, like, okay, maybe I should make an effort, and I would eat relatively less. I started playing sports and so on, and and within a matter of about 7 8 months, I did become, like, I wasn't obese. Okay, I wasn't skinny, but I wasn't obese, so I started to fit in, and all of that. So yeah, I mean, I think shaming happens and stuff, but instead of becoming a victim to shaming, I think one should try and take inspiration out of it. Because if we have the ability to change our own circumstances, I really believe in that. So I feel like if we take things in our hand, and we all know the answer all within, no XYZ can come and help us. I truly believe in that, whether it's our parents or our spouses. End of the day, the change has to come from within. And I feel like so I just, that time, that was the, like, I felt that's the way out. At least let me make an effort, let me at least start playing more sports, get more conscious about how I look, and work it out, and eat relatively healthier. All of that, I was always told by my parents to eat healthy, blah blah. We all knew what was right from wrong, and I did follow it, and it did reap results. So I and that became like a life lesson for me, quite honestly. And that was now also, if any shortcoming comes my way, or any sort of a situation comes my way which is not comfortable for me, I always try and first change myself, as opposed to sitting there and crib over it or make a big deal about it and all of that. So I feel like one should always look from within, look and seek answers.
That's so well put. But tell me something. Since you were fat shamed as a child, and did you ever have body issues while growing up? Even after you lost the fat, did you ever find
Well,
yourself?
okay, yeah, I've always fought the battle of the bulge. Even today, like I was just discussing with you a while back that I was in a retreat
Mhm.
with my friends, and yeah, I still fight the battle of the bulge. My metabolism sucks, so I have to I have to keep a check. so I can't be eating and so but then that's just a way of life. Like I said, I mean, maybe I don't have that luxury of just letting go and not being conscious and all of that. But I feel if it buys me good health, and if it gets me um uh, I don't know, peace of mind that I'm not putting on weight. I have gotten very conscious, yes. And also, yeah, but so even till today, if somebody says more tea, I have to turn back. I feel, oh shit, they're calling me. So it's just something that's been so it I mean, my husband, sometimes say you skinny, and I'm like, no, I would never be skinny in my head. I'd always be this one plum girl, because well, back in the day I was always called that. And I've always sort of, like I say, fought the battle of the bulge, always watched my calories. I don't, but then, yeah, I can't even let go, because forget, now it's not so much about appearance, it's more about health. Post COVID, especially, you want to keep yourself agile. God's been kind that we've been fine. You want to stay fine. So yeah, it's just become a way of life to watch what I eat, what are my daily rituals, and so on. And I do follow them diligently. Yes, I do that.
So that was interesting. And I like the way, even though you were body shamed as a child, today you are able to look back at that experience and see what was the learning in that for you. And what I've often seen, people, the ones who grow more resilient or enhance their emotional ability, are the ones who learn from every experience. They could be nice, they could be bad, they could be downright atrocious, but our free will and our need to surrender to God is what sails us through. And that is so, so well put. And as a parent, how do you parent your 13-year-old? I would love to know a little bit about that, especially vis-a-vis body shaming. And, these days parents are very concerned about how their children look. It's not just about their health, but also about their overall grooming. And so, what has been your experience as a parent, and something that you want to share with other parents out there? I would love to hear from you.
Yeah, so same. My poor son, Veerpratap, he's unfortunately inherited my genes of So even he quite he maybe is not as big as I was back then, but he is a little bit of a plum child. And so yeah, I've always told him, I was like, you got to be conscious, because we have other two children in the house who probably eat way more than he does, but poor child puts on weight and he's more sporty or whatever. But sometimes, things like those don't really pay off. It's end of the day, it's also your genetics. But then again, I told him the answer lies within we Pratap, like, no a person is dealt the same card as the others. God's dealt you a certain set of cards. It's up to us whether we make a ace trail out of it, or we surrender to it. So that's all I explain him. I'm like, you eat healthy, you eat what you think is right. I mean, 13-year-olds nowadays, I think 13-year-olds know a whole lot about nutrition, about generally about life. I find him so much smarter, giving me advice on so many things. Like, he's rather my to-go person for so many things, right? So I was like, if you can sit here and advise mama, then you also know what's right from wrong. And actually, Pragati, he has become conscious on his own. So you can't tell a child, a growing child, to not eat, which is the growing years and all of that. You can't stop them, but yes, you can tell them what's right from wrong. You should have your nutrition and all of that. So just like any other mother, I've done that, and I've told him that, but I see that. So I've told him proteins are good. He knows them themselves. I've made him. I might make him read a bit of literature about health, about what's good eating, what's bad eating habits, and so on, or make him watch like some, say, podcasts or something like that, talking about health and nutrition for children. But beyond that, I've never really forced him or put him on diets and so on. No, I don't believe in putting kids on diets at all. Actually, I don't believe in diets. Period. Like, I've done so many diets throughout my life, and I think those diets never really worked for me. I think the key to sustenance is diet control. You need to eat whatever you like. We all have our favorites and stuff. Like, I love milk. Milk could be the most unhealthy thing, maybe making me put on weight or whatever. but because I love milk, I choose to have that in my diet. And so, you just figure it out as to what you like, what's not right for you, what is right for you. Like and right now I'm having a cup of coffee and it has like 1.5 teaspoons of sugar in it. As long as, so then I don't eat desserts. So but I want my tea and coffee with regular sugar. So I think anything in moderation is all good. So that's what I've taught my son. I was like, you eat in moderation, you be sensible, and that's all you need to do, really. And I think kids are not kids anymore. Yeah, they're full on grown ups. They understand way better than we do. Yeah, or what we did back then. So I think you just lead by example. Quite honestly, I think there is no other way to raise your children. What they see is what they're gonna follow. So you just lead by example and show them that this is what we do, and now the ball is in your court. It's your life to live. So and that's what it's working. He has lost relatively a bit of weight and stuff. Boarding life is doing him good. So yeah, all's good there. But luckily, the schools, I must say, I mean, these new age international schools do not fat shame. That was one of my biggest worries, because huge apprehension, Pragati, because like I said, those 2 months were hell, and then within 6 months I lost weight. So my mom was, as a parent, she was like petrified to see that change in me. Like, so for a mother for a lady who's lost her husband a year back, comes to boarding to see, and back in the day you wouldn't go back home that much. Like now we have like our children coming to us every 2 months, so what your child is doing, all of that. But my mom saw me after 6 months of putting me in the boarding, and she was shocked because I literally became half my size, and all of that. And she was like, she was like, oh shit, I hope I haven't done the wrong thing to my child, like all of that. So because of my experience back in school, I thought that even my son, because when he left for his boarding in grade 6, I thought even he might be fat shamed, or I don't know what's going to happen. So that was my huge apprehension. But luckily, I think in today's day and age, maybe mildly, if somebody passes a comment, then it's different. But there's no major sort of bullying or fat shaming or all of that. Like I was kind of worried, which never really happened. Which I thought, then see, like I feel times are changing, and I think schools now have way stricter policies for things like these. Yeah.
There's a very pertinent point that you have brought out, because these days, and I'm glad that Veer has not had to face it, and the school's taking steps, because these days what I often see, and especially in therapy, a lot of people fat shame at the drop of the hat. So rather than more meaningful goals, all people worry about is the inches on their waist.
Absolutely.
And that is, for me, is a very scary trend, because like you rightly said, you need to indulge yourself. Probably you need a cup of coffee with a spoonful of sugar and a dash of milk. But today, if that's what makes you feel guilty, we are in a society where there is a lot of problem. So what do you have to say about fat shaming in general? Do you think it's okay for people to fat shame another or offer opinion on weight? Because now I see, even at parties or even between friends, the first conversation is, oh, you've put on so much weight, good, you've lost so much weight. And for
Yeah.
me, are you going to sit on the other person's face? Was that person going to come and sit on your face? How does it matter to you whether the person is size 0, size 4, size 8, size 16? It's
Yeah.
the individual choice. So what is your opinion on people who randomly give opinion on other people, especially regarding their weight?
No, I really feel like that's very, very unfortunate. I mean, I think it's so sad that we don't look skin deep. We might talk about looking skin deep, but we all somewhere base our opinions, or most of us, I'm generalizing this, we base our opinion just, you don't see, you just sort of judge the book by its cover. So I just feel that's really, really sad, and I feel like one should never really, there is so much more to a person's character besides the way they look, or or whether they're slightly plump or they're skinny or whatever. It's like, I think I'm, well, personally, to me, I think that's just no way to judge. And like you rightly said, to each his own. I mean, if they're happy in their own skin. And see, the only concern when I say about about being plump is health.
Mhm.
So if I've ever commented, or if somebody's commented to me, or if I, because I do tell my mother, she's suffering knee issues and stuff like that. So I really insisted. I got her a dietitian and all that. I really insisted she lost weight and stuff, because I thought, and I thought her knees were degenerating courtesy the weight she was carrying on her.
Mhm.
So till I feel it's not a health issue, or till it's not health driven, I think weight is too personal a thing to talk about. And I feel shaming could be in terms of anything, yeah, like, if my skin is like this, like, our kids, like, I see that with Veerpratap. All of a sudden he's so conscious about the pimples he has on his face, you know what I mean? It could be that, it could be somebody being dark, somebody being fair. It's like, I feel like it's so sad to be judged by the way one looks. I sometimes feel the other way around. I feel like in my case, just because I look a certain way, people just perceive me to be this one person, which I might not be. Like, if I don't know, I hope that's not true, but I've often been told that I come across somebody who's very hoity-toity. But only when somebody tries to have a conversation with me, do they realize there's so much more to me, and there's rather on the contrary. I think I would like to call myself a warm person, and that's the input I get eventually once somebody actually engages in a conversation with me. That, oh my God, you're so much more warmer than we thought you would be. You come across somebody so hoity-toity, you're so full of yourself, or so on. You don't even know me. You don't even know my journey. You don't know nothing about me. You just seen my facade, probably seen the clothes I wear or the way I look or whatever, and you've just completely judged me by my cover, literally. Without even making an effort to unveil other traits of my personality. So similarly, good or bad, I think people just judge, and there could be so much character in. Rather, just the other day, I was standing with this girl, and and she's like, she's must be around 50, and um, I mean, she's a lovely lady. She's quite an entrepreneur and stuff, and that's why I was wanting to engage in a conversation with her. But her demeanor and everything comes across as so simple that one wouldn't, how it is. They'd be like, if somebody was to see her, would say, oh, she looks like a simple housewife and all of that. But only once, I mean, she's been to Himalayan car rallies, and she's like a race driver, and like there's so much more to her character. She's running this school, and probably one of the most budding entrepreneurs, and she started all this at the age of 45. So it's been just this 5 years, but her graph of growth is tremendous. So one doesn't know, and there's never. I feel like there's no specific time to just sort of start your journey. It could be any time of any time in your life. So I feel when anybody fat shames or anybody judges somebody for just the way they appear to be, it's really sad. It could be just anything, but that's so unfortunate, you know. And I really think one shouldn't do that.
That's so well put, because with our words, we can lift another, with our looks, we can pull another down. And these are small acts of kindness that all of us can choose to imbibe as part of our daily living. So, what is
Right.
it that you do to enhance your emotional ability on a regular basis? How do you look after your emotional well being?
I am an extremely spiritual person, Pragati. I mean, you know that about me because you know me for a while. But my whole center of my life is my spirituality. So I've started. I mean, I look at people with compassion and all of that, but that comes in when you're at peace from within. When you feel like, your whole perspective, you could be a good mother or a good wife or a good entrepreneur, good daughter-in-law. Like, I don't have a father-in-law, so my mom-in-law is another hero for me. She's such an independent lady, doing so exceptionally well for herself. She started she's a career girl, and she started her career, what, 10 years back at the age of 60 or 58 or something like that. And my God, she's doing so exceptionally well that in spite of my dad-in-law not being there, I think instead of being a liability to her sons, she's an absolute asset. I think she just sits there like a pillar of strength for both my husband and his brother. And so anyway, sorry, coming back to that, what I was trying to say, so I feel like, okay, of course, while you draw a lot of inspiration from outside, you got to center yourself and you got to be happy in your own zone. One has to figure out their core calmness. So a lot of my strength comes from my spirituality. I pray, and when I say I pray, it's not like I sit there and meditate and I pray for hours. No, it has to be from within. It can even be that 10-minute, that deep connect with the universe. My universe is my Guruji. So I have that connect with him where I just sort of, I just talk to him about all my worries. I don't, I feel no mortal can help me with anything, whether it's good, bad, whatever. If it's a high, it's courtesy, a greater force to me, my Guruji. And or if it's a low, again, no mortal can change my lows, right? So I seek for those answers from within, in my prayer room. And I feel it just has to be from the heart. It doesn't matter, time doesn't matter, what time of the day you do it doesn't matter. I think how long do you do it for doesn't matter, as long as you are in, how do I say, you're one, in one with the universe, and just sort of seek his blessings, and just try and do good. I feel like if you see that, God sort of, listening to you, or imparting you with, or bestowing blessings upon you, you got to pay back. I feel if you follow this whole circle, that if universe gives you, you in turn give to somebody else, and I mean, there is no bigger, greater blessing. I feel like, and purity of thoughts. I consciously have become this person who does not like to, um, judge people. I mean, it's not easy. We're not saints. We all have that habit of, analyzing everyone. Like, it could be something this small. So you could just go to a party and come back, and either you engage in gossip, or that was a typical way of life. You know how it is. That's how you're conditioned. So, when everybody talks, oh, did you see what she was wearing? Or did you see what that guy was doing? Or so on and so forth. But I think now, what giving back, like at least from past 7-8 years, my conversations with my friends or with my husband is really not about who is wearing what or who is doing what. It's like I truly try and see the good in people as opposed to seeing the bad. I think when you do that shift of attitude, forget what people have to say about you. I think universe starts to bless you, because you're just bringing, your thoughts are pure, your intents are pure for people. You don't have any malice in your heart, and you want to do good, in whichever way for, others. And I feel when you start doing that, I think, uh, I feel my Guruji starts doing good for me. So it's like a circle now. So I don't like, talking negative. I give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Everybody, that I firmly believe. Yeah, nobody's crazy to do anything wrong to you, or vice versa. If somebody's if somebody's done bad by your side, they would also have a story. So I always try and see, where they come from, why did they do this to me, or so on. Or even if they did, just because somebody's doing bad to you, you shouldn't do bad. It all sounds very angelic, but trust me, it's experience. I'm not just saying it, and I still do folly. I'm still a human being, and I'm always put in these situations where somebody has done bad by me, and it's so hard at that time to not react and just be calm and composed about it. But I try and be, and I just feel like, what, like, that's his bank account with God, and I have to follow my bank account. That's how I believe. So my karmas are my bank account, and that's going to reap the interest that I want it to. So yeah, that's how I work. It's strange, but that's my philosophy, and it's worked for me.
I like that, because see, normally when we talk about try till you succeed, we do it for material goals, like it's either for a promotion that we want, or for a competition that we are participating in, or something that we want to achieve. But we never try to be good, that
Yeah.
we never try to work on ourselves and change our attitude. But what I have pleasantly seen, when we talk about our potentials for growth, it's a volition, the power of choice. When we actually decide that I want to try and think healthier thoughts, I want to try and become a more compassionate person, that enhances our emotional ability and our strength like nothing else, So that was
Absolutely.
so wonderfully put. So, any last words that you want to leave our viewers with today?
Well, I would like to say that, especially for all the girls who's watching this podcast, I would like to say that each one of us have something, you know what I mean? I feel like a creative, I mean, we all have our own zones of creativity in us. Of course, we're homemakers, and the best bit is that I think we girls are taught to multitask from day one. So we could be these entrepreneurs in our own rights. We could be we could be either painting, or we could be good at, like, say, fashion, or be good at makeup, or be like economists, or working, or doctors, or whatever. We could do that, yet we can handle our children, and we can handle our homes, and so on. So I always feel like, my message is that everybody, we all have our instincts within us. And even if you're not working, trust me, I have like these stories to tell, where like I just mentioned right now, my mother-in-law just started work at the age of 58, and trust me, she is doing so exceptionally well for herself. In the span of 15 years, she's grown her business multifolds. So there's never an expiry date to working. So I feel like, everybody, every woman should work in whichever way. If they're good at cooking, then why not bake cakes, make pickles, whatever it might be, and also I think, instead of and we women should uplift each other. I really believe in that. So I am a designer myself, but sometimes, so many times, see myself wearing other people's creations, and not just wearing them. Then I would tag them, appreciate them. Why not? I mean, if I'm confident about my own creation, I won't shy away from admiring others. I think what happens is that when you're insecure about how you are, that's when you want to put people down. I personally believe that a woman can be a woman's greatest strength, or her biggest enemy. So I think we should, instead of, demeaning each other, or like, sometimes looking at the flaws, or all of that in each other, I think we should always try and encourage each other, support each other, and look at the good, and sort of, so yeah, everybody should work. I really believe in that. I think it'll give them a lot of mental peace, and if they're happy in their own zones, they'll be happy mothers, they'll be happy wives, they'll be happy homemakers. So yeah, I think work is key to life.
Thank you so much, Nidhi. It was absolutely wonderful chatting with you, and it's just been lovely to have you here.
And while we bid goodbye, I want to say the good job. I want to congratulate you and appreciate and applaud the good job that you're doing. I think you're touching so many people's hearts, and I've always told you in my many conversations, I've always found you so inspiring, and you've seen my journey, because me and Pragati know each other for like good now 15, 20 years. And I think I wasn't the same person back then, but yeah, but she's always inspired me, and I've always had my ups and downs, which I've always shared with Pragati, and she's been effortless. And every time she tells you the solution, she makes your problem sound so trivial and small, and she just gives you the remedy. And I think you're such a fabulous girl yourself, and you're empowering, you're touching so many people's lives, you're making the most important change, which is the emotional and the mental health of people. Nothing is more, because it's all in the head. If you're calm in your head, and you have your thoughts aligned, you can capture the world, really. So, and I think you are doing something which is so noble and so commendable. So I truly applaud you for what you do, and I hope you grow multifolds and do exceptionally well. And thanks for having me over.
Thank you, Nidhi. It's just been wonderful. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. Do drop in your comments in the comment section. Take care and have a lovely day.